Hi everyone, as you've now heard, my name is Liana. I will first tell you a little bit about myself, as this is very appropriate to this career transition theme that we have today. And then I will tell you some more about what LaunchLab does. I'm probably going to speed through the LaunchLab things for the sake of time, and because everything can be found on our website. Trust me, I made 100% sure of that because two of my colleagues and I built the website ourselves. So I studied BCom and LLB at Stellenbosch University initially, and then I went out and I started practicing as a litigation attorney. So I was in court all day in my robe. We don't wear the wigs that you see on TV, but we do have the robes, and you've got your suits and you feel very cool. And I absolutely loved it. I learned so much, met such interesting people, faced such interesting problems in my work to deal with, until I didn't. Slowly but surely, I became very disillusioned with my job. I'd sit there staring at my four little beige walls, listening to my clients whine, and I'd be like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I thought I was going to do something amazing. I thought I was going to, in the words of Steve Jobs, make a dent in the universe. And yet here I am in the little beige office with the uncomfortable shoes and the whiny clients. And over time, I became more and more disillusioned, and I fixated on this, and I actually became super depressed. But I never did anything about it because you feel so stuck in what you're doing. I think almost everyone I have had this discussion with feels really stuck in what they're doing. Like, no, but I can't do something else. And I can then at least also say for everyone in law, shout out, the world does not see you as anything but an attorney. That's all. You're an attorney, you do law, you do contracts, or you do court, end of story. Even though you actually have a much more diverse skill set, that's all they're willing to see. Anyway, so back to Liana in a beige office. She became more and more depressed, and she was obsessed with the fact that her life was now not a thing, not something that she thought it would be. And then eventually, because I didn't do anything about it, the universe stuck its hand in there, and I developed a heart arrhythmia, and I had like a full-on, call it a breakdown, call it a burnout, whatever you want. It was the most terrible time in my life. But the most terrible thing turned out to be the most wonderful thing, because when you become physically ill because you are so unhappy, you realize, well, you should make a change. Even you just got to at least try to make a change. So I did some career counseling and things like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do an MBA to change my life. And so I signed up for the USB MBA. I applied, and I was lucky enough to get in. And so did my MBA. Unfortunately, it turns out that simply doing a degree does not really tell you what your life should be now. As Neil was saying in the beginning, it's a why question. Why are you here? What do you want to do with your life? And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how many hours you spend thinking about it. That's not necessarily an answer that just one day pops into your head. It takes time and a lot of work to get to that. So I was nearing the end of my MBA, and I still had no freaking idea what I'm supposed to do now. I'm gonna start applying for jobs. People in my class are already getting jobs. Oh, and I'm just like, I still don't know. So I remember distinctly, I was sitting in one of my career coaching sessions that USB provides with Janine one day in this very office. And I was definitely crying my eyes out. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And given all my profiles and things that she'd had a look at, she was like, you know what, Liana, you need to speak to the people at LaunchLab. What the hell is LaunchLab even? But okay, fine. Went and read up about it, and I went and met the CEO. Great stuff. And I was like, I'd never in my life seen myself as an entrepreneur, not even vaguely. I mean, my parents own a business, but in my head, entrepreneurship was always this like mythical thing. There's a little man, and one day there's a little light bulb that goes up over his head, and then like 4 years later, he's a billionaire. That was entrepreneurship. And I'm like, I don't have ideas. This is not me. This is not going to be my life ever. But there are some other things that I reckon I could do in this entrepreneurship space. So at LaunchLab, I signed up to be a mentor on one of the programs. really enjoyed it so much. I'm like, I'm 100% sure I learned more than my mentees did. It was such a rich and wonderful journey that I had with them. Even though they ultimately actually after that program decided not to pursue their business, which is also a very valid outcome in change, any type of change that you make, or if you're trying to start a business. But I learned a lot. I really enjoyed it. And turns out that LaunchLab enjoyed having me around. So they invited me to join for another project. And then they invited me to come work there on a part-time basis. And before I knew it, I was a full-time employee. So now, former unhappy litigation attorney is somehow the director of business development and marketing at a venture builder. I didn't even know what BizDev was a year ago. I kid you not. And yet here I am now doing it. So I just really wanted to tell that story because I just remember how in the time when I was so unhappy with my career, I was like, but it's impossible for me to change. There's nothing, I don't know what I want to do and I can't do anything else. But if you really dig deep inside yourself, you try different things, you expose yourself to new ideas, new industries and things like that, you can find that answer somewhere. It won't necessarily come easily, but you can find it somewhere. And I mean, it is a journey. I still couldn't tell you exactly what it is that I'm going to do with my life, but I at least have some short-term plan. And where I am now, I am learning so much. I meet wonderful, interesting people, and I'm having a flippant joy. So I really recommend that career change if that's something that you want in your life. But okay, now let me talk about my employer for a little bit and not about myself. So hi, Stellenbosch University LaunchLab. We are a venture builder, business incubator, business accelerator. There are 100 different names for this. The point of it is that we work with businesses to help them refine their business idea and then help them grow and scale their business. We do this through various programs that we run, and I will talk about them shortly. So our mission is to transform seemingly impossible into world shaping. Sorry, I have to say that, else an alarm will go off in my boss's head saying that I didn't say that. So this is a very important part of what we do. And then I actually had this slide hidden, but while Lazan was talking, I unhid it. So these are our company values that we really work very hard to live and emphasize in everything that we do. I wanted to keep this in here specifically for entrepreneuring ain't easy. So being an entrepreneur is very, very difficult, as Lazan said. You have to be everything all the time at the same time. It is incredibly challenging, but so you have to make sure that you're getting into it with the right intention. That's especially why people are encouraged to have a business that focuses on something that they care about, because it is bloody hard, not just in the, oh, I have to work so hard, but also in that slogging through admin type of way. Like, come on, we all know like that's actually the hardest hard there is in this world. So just here's some of LaunchLab stats. These are a bit old, we are busy updating them, but basically we have worked with more than 270 businesses since 2015. We've raised more than 360 million rand in capital. Our businesses have a combined annual turnover of more than 300 million, and we have created more than 280 direct jobs. So this is then where, for myself, the meaning really comes in. I am not at a point in my life where I can say, like, I will be an entrepreneur and I will do this. But by supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem, I meet my why. I want to make Africa and South Africa better. And I think there's two ways to do that. The one is education and the one is entrepreneurship. I'm not a good educator, as you're seeing by how terrible my presentation is, but I can do some other stuff. And this is then where that entrepreneurial support comes in. And that is the meaning that I find in my work and why I'm so happy with the transition that I made. So to then tell you a little bit about our programs. So firstly, we have University Startup Lab. So this is the one where our Innovus spin out businesses, they feed into this. They are generally on a super unique entrepreneurial journey, especially because a lot of what they have comes from really from research. So it's like deep tech. We're looking at a lot of technical expert founders here. And that also means that their entrepreneurial development journey is quite different, because today you are a PhD candidate, tomorrow morning you wake up and it's like, I'm an entrepreneur now. And yet you are no different inside or outside. You've still got so much to learn, perhaps even more so than someone who previously thought that, well, their entire life they've been hustling this entrepreneurial stuff. And so University Startup Lab then focuses on tech transfer businesses. We work with them over several months, doing things, well, creating certain value for them, such as those that you can see on the screen. I'm not going to read through them. We work very closely with them. They have our business building lead that works with them for minimum 2 hours a week, one-on-one. They've got group learning sessions. And then after the program, in this specific instance, they are provided with mentorship support. And we source our mentors, of course, specifically to that business's needs. So we have a big network of mentors, which I'm going to tell you more about just now. But that's basically what happens here. Then Climate Lab is focused on all things climate. So whether you are developing off-grid solutions, software for climate, ag tech, you name it, this is for that. And here we're looking at a bit more of an advanced business than we generally see in University Startup Lab. As Lazan was explaining earlier, that's really from the ground up that these businesses are being built. Whereas in Climate Lab, we're looking more at pre-Series A businesses. So they've generally existed for a little while. They are generating some revenue and things like that. So here, similarly, you work closely one-on-one with some of our team members and also with many experts and mentors. And here specifically in University Startup Lab, sorry, I know funding was one of the questions. So as Lazan said, there are many ways to get funding through the university itself. And then there's also the University Technology Fund, which exclusively invests in university tech transfer in South Africa. And we are fortunate enough to be their preferred service provider. So when they invest in the business, they'll say like, okay, 18 months from now, we want you to have achieved these milestones. So then ourselves and Inurfus will work with these businesses to help them achieve those milestones so that they can get their next round of funding. And then here in Climate Lab, we do not have a specific funding partner like that we work for. When we source funding for our businesses here, we do it depending on what a given business needs. Right now, we're running 2 fundraisers. One is for businesses, one is an equity raise, so businesses is selling shares in itself to raise funds. Another one is the debt raise. So the business is actually like incurring debt, but it's not just a bank loan type of situation. So all these different types of funding. And then LaunchLab is also working on its own funding vehicle. So we will hopefully soon be able to invest in businesses ourselves. Then lastly, not second to last, our data science and entrepreneurship bootcamp. So I don't think that the USB crowd specifically has 4 weeks available to it where it can attend a program on machine learning and data science, but this is something that we present. So this is more for the students of like undergrad students at Stellenbosch University. They basically learn how to apply machine learning and data science in their everyday job. And we also throw a heavy dose of entrepreneurship in there. As Lazan said, that really resonated with me. You are an entrepreneur within the university doing entrepreneurial things. People often feel like, oh, but you must be, independent and external to be an entrepreneur, but you can also be an intrapreneur within a given business. It's so important to be able to think differently, to innovate. And that is why we put entrepreneurship skills as well in this program, to help people develop those skills in this modern world. Agility is everything, and that will only become more important. And lastly, we have Makers Landing at the V&A waterfront. If you have not been there, I encourage you to just end your workday right now and drive. It's much better than this, trust me. So Makers Landing is a food community there. They have food pods, food stalls, you might as well say. So where different food entrepreneurs sell their products. But they also run a food incubation program that started in the wake of COVID. And it is absolutely amazing. So you know how all of us South Africans, we've got an auntie who sells like pancakes or something on the side for extra money. So this is where they help your auntie, your cousin, your brother, whoever it is, to really refine their business and take it to the next level. Amazing success stories from there. People who lost their jobs during COVID and thought their lives were ruined, to now their products are being stocked in Woolworths before the end of the year. So really worthwhile to go check them out. Then our varsity engagement, and this is now kind of where it becomes relevant to you guys. So we run experiential learning workshops. We will post about them on our website at some point. We are still working with the university on what would be most appropriate for us to share with students in these forums. Then we also have office hours, like Lazan described, for Inurfus. We currently run them every second Friday. However, every time we open up a new month, they are booked out within an hour. So we're currently working internally to see how we can spread our team about to run these office hours every Friday. So the point of these are also just to, for anyone really to come chat to us, ask questions about entrepreneurship, test a specific business idea, find out more about our specific programs, anything like that. And then we also have community events. So here you can see some of the ones that we've had so far this year. We've actually also got, so we have our open community events that we run every month. These are a great opportunity to meet entrepreneurs, meet our investors, our experts. And so just to really immerse yourself in this world of entrepreneurship. As Lazan was saying, if you're trying to raise funds for a business, for example, if you don't know anyone, you're not getting any money. End of the story. And this is a great place to start meeting people like this. We are always on the lookout for mentors, experts, and investors. So we take our mentorship and expertise very seriously. Our mentors really, as I said, I was very much committed to my team. I still chat with them on the reg. You can't just meet with them once a month and be like, oh, whatever. No, no, no. You become very, very invested in them. And that is what we expect of our mentors, to really be there with these entrepreneurs, be along on their journey with them. Then experts, there is for all of the rest of us who don't have that much time on our hands, who are not that passionate about helping at this point in time. So our experts are people that we dial in given a specific problem or challenge or need that a startup may have. So let's say you are an expert in expanding into African markets. If that's what one of our startups is focusing on, then we hit you up. We set up some expert sessions with you and a given startup. We structure it, we guide it and everything to make sure that we make maximum use of your time and theirs, of course. And that is that. I'll also put some of these links in the chat now for these things, but again, everything is on our website, launchlab.africa.